But I try to use opportunities to try to preach the gospel without preaching the gospel. So let me give you an example. I'm crazy pro-life. I'm not afraid to speak on pro-life stuff. And I was at a pro-life rally. This was an outdoor event, and the way they had it set, this was in January, right? So Roe v. Wade month, that whole thing. So they had two stages. They had the stage at one end of the plaza where the speakers, they had another stage at the end of the plaza for praise and worship. So the speaker would go, then the praise and worship, then the speaker would go, praise and worship. And this is actually on my YouTube channel. So you see me get up there to give my speech, and you hear all these protesters. So the camera pans over, and you see tons of protesters across the street with the blue police barrier. They got their signs, and they're yelling things like, "Get your rosaries off my ovaries," things like that. So I say on the video, let them yell. They're not going to be as loud as me, right? And so I talk for about 17 minutes. Then the video stops. Here's what you didn't see. I got off the stage. I greeted a few people. And then I saw that the protesters had shifted down the street because they wanted to drown out the praise and worship band. But this one young lady was still there. She had her sign braced against her knees, and she had her head down. She was texting. And I said, let me go say hi. So I walked under the police tape. I walked toward the blue police barrier. She did this. I know you. You were just the one that was up there talking. How dare you say a woman doesn't have a right to choose? How dare you say a woman doesn't have control over her own body? You want us to go back to clothes hanger abortions? And she just ripped into me. She was yelling so loud, she was almost spitting in my face. Oh. I just stood there and said nothing. So now I'm going to describe her only because this dictated my approach to her. This was in Oregon. So she was what I call a typical crunchy Oregonian young adult, right? In her 20s, blonde, white, dreadlocks, Birkenstocks, tie-dyes, ripped jeans, piercing tattoos, smell like, not hairy. Okay. Yeah, smelled like she'd been hugging a tree in the wood for 3 days, that kind of thing. She had that kind of vibe going on. So when she finished yelling at me, I said to her, "Are you a vegan?" She said, "Don't change the subject." I said, "Actually, it's pretty relevant to what I have to say to you. So you don't eat meat?" "I don't eat meat. I don't eat fish. I don't eat eggs. I don't eat butter. I don't drink milk. I don't eat anything produced by an animal." Because they fill these animals full of hormones and chemicals, and they take these animals into laboratories and fill them with diseases to find cures for us. "No, I don't eat anything produced by an animal." "Do you recycle?" "Of course I recycle. We have to protect Mother Earth." And then she started talking about greenhouse gas and global warming and global footprints and all this kind of stuff. And so she finished. I said, "You know what? I can totally appreciate where you're coming from. Let me tell you how we understand as Catholics. In the Bible, it says that our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, right? And I said, when you eat good things like you're doing, you take care of yourself. That's a wonderful thing. I commend you. The Bible also says that we're supposed to be caretakers of creation. So when you take care of the earth, that's a good thing. I applaud you. But can I ask you a question?"
And how is she at this point?
And she's like, but she's listening. She goes, I said, "Are you on birth control?" What the hell kind of question is that? That's none of your goddamn business. That's a personal question. I said, "Well, we're both out here talking about abortion. That's pretty personal too. Humor me." And she leans in. She goes, "Yeah, I'm on the pill. So what?" Mm-hmm. And I went,
"Just make sure you're behind this."
Yeah. And I went, now I'm confused because you just told me one of the reasons why you don't eat meat because they fill these animals full of hormones and chemicals. Yet you're taking an artificial hormone that tricks your body into thinking that it's pregnant. And when you piss out the estrogen, it goes into the river system and kills the fish. And so I went on my phone. I put this little study from Colorado that showed the effects of river fish downstream from a sewage treatment plant because of the effects of sewage and estrogen in the water. And I held up my phone to her. I said, "The very animals that you're trying to protect, you're killing them." I said, "I'm green and organic when it comes to sex. How come you're not?" and waited for an answer. So now she's like, see, because now she has to think. So what I did was I took all the emotion out of it, and I asked. It's a very Socratic method, right? I asked a question. I just waited for an answer. She couldn't answer because now she has to get past all the emotions because she realized the self-contradiction she just made. She goes, now how do I get myself out of it? Now, as I'm waiting for an answer, we got a problem. The praise and worship band finished playing. So now her friends are coming back. I'm like, this is going to get ugly real fast. So I took out one of my cards and I wrote Pope Paul VI Institute. I said, green organic sex for free. Check it out right here. Now, Pope Paul VI Institute, right? In Omaha, right? All NFP, all the good stuff. So what could she have done at that point, Matt? She could have not taken the card. Mm-hmm. She could have taken the card, spat on it, threw it back in my face. She could have taken the card, crumpled it up or ripped it up and threw it back in my face. She took the card without saying anything and put it in her purse. And when her friends reached us, I backed away from her. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Now, why'd I do that? So she could save face in front of her friends. Now she doesn't have to explain, why were you talking to him? But
did she pick up on that, do you think?
She took the card. Now, that's effective evangelization. Is it my job now to follow up with her and see what God did in her life? Nope. She took the card. She went, now what she's going to do when she gets home, she's going, when nobody's around, she's going to go, what is this? See? Because the whole goal for me in a confrontational situation like that is how do I get this person in front of me to want to listen to more of what I have to say? It's not about winning arguments. It's not about even who's right or who's wrong. Ultimately, for me, it's what's true and what's not true. That's ultimately, and I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm not trying to proselytize. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. But I will give you something to think about. See, that's the approach I try to take in those situations.
Yeah, it's difficult to be in those situations because you can't really prepare yourself for them unless you've been in those instances multiple times. It's a very frightening thing when someone's
that's
that
what I do.
angry.
I try to prepare myself by spending time in adoration, thinking, okay, if I was asked about this, how would I respond? Or how do I think through these things? Or how do I get this across in a way that's meaningful in someone's life without pissing them off so much that they don't ever want to hear anything I ever want to say again, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking about these things. I'm praying about them. When the opportunity presents itself, I'm like, oh, here I am right now. Okay, just take a deep breath. Lord, speak through me right now. Let your love work through me right now to this person who's very, very angry and upset. Because the last thing I want to do is to feel like I've won this argument and the person's even more upset than they were before. And what have I gained? Nothing.
Fulton Sheen said it's entirely possible to win an argument and lose the soul.
See, there you go. And that's what I don't want to do. So I want someone that walks away from me to be thinking. Even if they don't like what they heard, at least they're thinking about it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought about the video.